Stuck where you're at? Do you wish you have better ways of thinking of things with more positivity and just a better overall point of view? I came across the School of Greatness and the School of Greatness Academy back in 2016. Why don't you join me today in listening to Lewis Howes and the School of Greatness podcast as he talks to people in the society who have seen the roller coaster ride of going from struggling to successful, back to struggling, then back to successful. Life can't always be bright eyed and bushy tailed. There has to be some poison ivies and some pins and needles to walk on, too. Lewis gets you in the right mindset so when those times come, you are mentally, physically equipped to handle any moment. Listen to the School of Greatness podcast today by surfing lewishowes.com and clicking on podcast. You're listening to Keeping It Real in the Film World, and I talk with Brian Walsh. Welcome, all filmmakers. You're in the film world. My name is Thomas Kenyon, video editor, live video specialist. Each week, I bring you an inspiring person or message that helps bring you closer to the film world. Thank you for visiting my link and podcast. Now, lights, camera, action. Today's episode features an actor who is right out of university. Brian is from Dublin, Ireland, across the pond, the Atlantic Ocean. If any of you were wondering what it is that fills your cup, then this one is for you, especially when we talk about participating in 24-hour plays or 48-hour film contests. Please welcome now the one, the only Brian Walsh. Good. I'm just finishing up breakfast as it's morning for me.
Are you still in Texas?
Yes.
Actually, gosh, it's about, was it 9, 10 a.m. there?
It is 9 a.m.
All right.
So I really liked your response when you named. We got a little more specific even too. I liked your responses to. It was pretty cool.
Oh, well, thank you. I wasn't sure if you meant a specific type of person or an example of someone who, in some fantasy land where everything went my way, I could just summon up and get them as a mentor. But I'm happy that you got the answers you needed. Thank you.
Well, because I just started going with this in the last week or so. My goal is to like connect everyone the best way I can, no matter where you are. You're in what, Dublin? You're in Dublin, right?
That's right.
That's cool. I want to like visit, like especially Scotland. Apparently, I have lineage in Scotland and maybe England too.
Ooh,
And
that's cool.
my dad's side of the family. We looked that up a few years ago. They've actually visited Edinburgh. Edinburgh. How do you?
It's Edinburgh.
Edinburgh
Yeah, that's the one.
in Scotland, and they loved. I mean, I was actually rented a car, but they say to anyone who's going to visit there to not rent a car. There's plenty of just transportation for tourists.
I haven't actually been to Scotland. Which breaks my heart because I really I've heard it's a wonderful place, especially Edinburgh. So that's a pity.
They took amazing photos when they took the visit there.
The dog's just running around the house now, acting a little cheeky.
My dog does the same thing.
Is he?
He's like a little bigger, so if he doesn't run as much, but if he does, it's pulling the china shop.
Oh boy.
I have a lab.
I saw that big fella. Yeah, this one's just a little King Charles. You could fit him in a lunchbox. He's just so small.
So let's see here. Where's the? Oh, okay. Second part. So let's get started here. What I met, you're in the inner circle for with Lewis Howes, right?
I was in Soga. I was in the academy Soga 20. What was it? Soga 13. That's it.
13. I was like 11, 10, 11, and I kind of did 14, and I'd moved, so I kind of like stopped short in 14.
Oh, well, that's all right. I'm sure you had your priorities anyway.
It but all that is just set to like getting you in the right mindset for things, and it's certainly in the right place.
Yeah, it's definitely a good primer for life.
Eight
It's,
basic principles that they often don't teach anywhere else, really, especially the financial thing.
oh yeah, finances. That can be a tricky one, but I find it comforting when you put it into perspective and you realize, oh, it's not actually as daunting as it may seem at first. Curious, have you read that book? What was it? The 4 Hour Work Week.
This is the first I'm actually hearing the 4 hour work week. No.
It's a book by Tim Ferriss, and they they have a little exercise in it where you basically write out something that you want to do, and it shows these techniques how you could break it down into a monthly income, how much you would actually need. And when you do that, you're kind of surprised as to how small it can appear. Such as I don't know, own a Lamborghini Aventador. I mean, yeah, it's a how much is it? Like a $600,000 car, but if you pay it off a certain way month by month, it amounts to about it's surprisingly affordable. It's very strange.
Yeah, if you I'm big on like all the automate. I automate pretty much all my bills now. And I haven't paid a bill in like 3 years, but I mean I pay it every month, but I haven't actually paid a bill in 3 years.
Is
Thank
that you as you get your bills paid? It's just not by you. Is that it?
I it schedule them. That I use like bill pay with through my bank online, and it's just all scheduled.
Cool. Wow.
And I don't have to think about paying bills, but it happens. And that's
That's
one thing I know Lewis Howes talks about.
I remember that one. I do.
Let's see. Before I dive into what those responses, I'd like to ask everyone just what are you excited about today or about future coming up? What is there for you to be excited about?
I'm fortunate that well, I suppose I did just recently graduate from university. Well, not quite graduate, but I finished the courses there. And
So you're
it's
close to finishing.
pretty much, well, the final assignments have been turned in and all that. So it's a matter of, okay, now there's a big door that's just swung open, and what's on the other side but the real world. It's a daunting thought, but there's a lot to be. I thought, I've acquired a lot. I've connected with a lot of people. There's a few things I can look forward to. I can finally start attacking the life that I hope for.
So yeah, that's always a good thing to be excited about. starting something great out of we like we call it college here, but university. I know starting something right out of school, pretty much.
That's it. I was I have been taking up there was a course I've been doing on voiceover work. So that's a repertoire I would like to advance on, just involve myself in amateur projects, because now I can pretty much laser focus on that if I if I need to over the next few months, and see if I can make something out of it.
You definitely got the voice for it, for sure. You got that radio voice.
Well, thank you.
I know, especially I hope you don't mind saying, but like I know the you have being over in the or near the UK or in that area, Dublin, that accent is people sometimes can pay a premium for that.
For the Irish accent.
Yeah,
So I heard.
Irish, English, it's all like way up there.
I heard. We were asked though to reduce it if we ever needed to. So talk a bit more in a neutral American or neutral English. And I suppose I got kind of lucky. I always had. This might sound strong to you, but this is actually a very weak accent where I'm from. People mistake me from being everywhere but here from where I'm from. It's ridiculous.
It sounds great, actually. I've actually heard a lot stronger.
Oh, there are.
Yeah,
It's
but like you definitely, it's cool that you said voiceovers is like you sound like you're set up to do a radio show right out of school.
woo, wouldn't that be the dream? Oh. Is there
So what goals I think you, and this is probably coming from your response a little bit. What goals do you have that you set for you right off the bat?
right off the bat? Well, I did put out a few, of course. What were the trying to recite them in my head now? Excuse me. I definitely do want to exercise a bit more of those creative muscles, and for me, that does mean auditioning, and it does mean uh, flicking through monologue books and seeing if I can make these goofy characters. Um, I do enjoy music as well. I've been playing around with the likes of FL Studio. Uh, there's a piano in the house that I'm getting back into. There's a lot of ways I can do that. And I do have the probably the worst case of shiny object syndrome where I go, oh, this is a cool talent. I'll take that. Oh, this is a cool one. I need to do that. And then I have a million things to practice, and it's ridiculous. So that's something I got to keep track of. But again, I'm fortunate that I do have these things that I can pull from and take things into account. Take
Cool.
that, that's one. I suppose another one was what was it? I believe I wrote to try and travel more. It's I know it's not in wholly related to my career, but that was I suppose it's one thing that I think if I have a little bit of a fear that if I don't do it now, I may not get a chance to sometime in the future. But it's also something that scares me, traveling solo. But it does feel fulfilling that I get it done. Where it's I can survive on my own. I'm not just uh, I'm not someone who needs their hand held. And that's an experience I think is worth cultivating, and it's probably it. I feel like it is worth the investment that in both time and finance.
You know where you want to travel to, or a place that's on the top of your list?
Oh, oh. I suppose there's one that I have in the back of my mind. I was um I was on. I suppose I'll tell a little bit of a story. I was on vacation in Austria with my family, and due to a few things related to college and like a thesis I had to get in, I had to leave early. So we had to get the trains back. I had to take three trains back, and somehow all three of them broke down on the way back. It's a miracle I made it to my flight in the
Oh
end.
no.
But yeah, on the third train, I just bumped into this. When it was slowing down and when it was stopping, I just decided to chat with the person next to me. Um, I sadly I didn't get his contact details, but it was a man named Leonardo, and he was from Colombia and talking about how he'd been working in a grocery store, but uh, he'd always been looking up at paragliders, and he I think it was his manager or something that said, like, you're working in here and you're really good at here, but you have your eyes up there. Go there and go up there. And he went up there. He's now working as a paragliding coach, and he's just going around the world as a nomad, teaching it to people. And I found it amazing that he said that that's the attitude of his country, where they're all very social, they're all looking out for each other, and if they notice that someone's unhappy with where they are, they see that as, okay, we should probably give this guy advice, because this shouldn't be normal. This is something that should be taken into account. And the fact that they had, the stories I heard at least, that they had so much awareness of people who have aspirations and have um the words are eluding me today, that have dreams that they want to go for, and they encourage people to do it. I found that really inspiring. So I had a bit of a moment on that train of, Colombia sounds like a nice place to go to. That
That's
was
cool.
the, and that's my way of saying Colombia.
That's cool. South America,
It
or is
is
it
South
Central
America.
America?
It's definitely an odd. I'm not sure what it is, but where I'm from, when people think exotic getaway, it's usually somewhere in North America, like the bustling city of New York, or Lanzarote in the Canaries. They rarely ever think of South America. So I bring that up, and it kind of turns a few heads. They go, "What? The Wait, isn't that the country where Escobar was from? Are you sure you want to?" And it it's kind of interesting. It's this little corner of the world where, at least where I'm from, people don't consider it.
It's right on the top. It borders northern Brazil.
Yep, that's the one. What was the
Cool. That was a great story, and how it led up to the place you wanted to travel to.
Yeah, I found it kind of funny as well that if that if the deadline for that thesis wasn't pushed early, and if I didn't have to be sent back home early, and if those trains didn't break down, and if I didn't make the next, all that, I probably wouldn't have bumped into that man and taken the time to speak with him. So
Yeah, things happen for a reason. A lot, often, I believe last 3 or 4 years myself, things happen. I let things happen more naturally and just let things flow and don't try and force what I want too much and just let things happen because I know it'll happen eventually.
I suppose when I'm not perfect at this, but if anything remarkably disastrous or something that feels like a disaster in the moment happens to me, I try to think about what am I? Is there something I'm gaining from this, or is there something that I'm going to be gaining from this, or
Yeah,
anything like that?
what is what is the situation teaching you, or what do you look for a lesson or something?
That's it. So kind of when I bumped into that man, I was like, what's the point in all this stuff happening for me? What? And then I meet him and I go, oh, okay. There was this weird machine set in motion, and I ended up here. So I suppose it's a matter of embracing that adversity and knowing you're going to come out of this okay, and you're going to earn something. And don't be don't be too taken aback if it's not what you expected.
And I'm sure you've heard a lot of this already, but what are you grateful for?
Ah, the big question. I love that. I've been for the past actually ever since yesterday. I've been really thankful about my parents. I'm blessed that they've been they've been around so often. I know a few of the people listening um, might not have the kind of family that I do. So when I think about that, it's my parents have just been around for so much, and they've been supporting me so often. Even when they disagree with the things that I want to do with my life, they still encourage me to go about with it. So I honestly can't thank them enough. They're just remarkable.
It's definitely nice. You said it. You don't. People don't often have that support. Sadly, from people often go too quickly to the relationship and getting, especially here in the U.S. They they go to relationships too quickly, and then they right away want to start a family when they don't really have things figured out for themselves yet.
Really?
So
Um,
they can't really, a lot of families can't really offer that support that you know should be offered for their kids and for their moms and dads. But I've been lucky the same way too. I've had great family support, not just from immediate, but a little bit beyond immediate with all of my other relatives. So I've been lucky on that point as well.
Absolutely. Um, and I never want to take it for granted because it's sadly with most things in life, pretty much anything could be taken away from you at any moment. So um, that's one of the important things about exercising gratitude because for all I know, the sky could disappear. For all I
Yep.
know. So enjoy it while it's there. Enjoy all sorts of things. Even when I'm even when I was in a martial arts class once, and we were doing these like stretching exercises, and I was sweating in agony, and we were told that you might someday when you're older you mightn't be able to move your body, you might lose some of your sense of touch, and you'll wish you could feel pain like this again. And that really put it into perspective. Like e- even you could even miss something that's you could even miss the sensation of pain. Like there's all sorts of things that could just if they left straight away and I never saw them again, I would have no idea how much I missed them. So it's you kind of have to possess this overwhelming sense of splendor for the world around you.
Yep, exactly. You miss it when it's gone, but you don't know really what you miss until it's gone.
True. Like I've ended up sometimes I've even like thanked the ground beneath my feet for staying there, or uh the smell of dark chocolate or things like that. There's an awful lot. I try to pick a new thing to write down to be thankful for every day, or three things. It's not always easy, but there's always something there that you missed, and it's just a matter of looking out for it.
It's just a way to take the good and the dark moments and enjoy it all. Find something that's enjoyable, even though there may be not a lot of enjoyable with like the darkness. Just find a way to enjoy the darkness
Absolutely.
and both. So, when was your passion for acting, voiceover? When did you realize, hey, this is what you wanted to do?
The first time I let's see, the first time I remember feeling that moment of ooh, I love performing in front of people. It was in my fourth year of secondary school or high school, and for the first time we had I wasn't quite a drama kid. I was very closed off. I even got like a nickname, the Terminator, because I always wore sunglasses and I was just a really robotic personality. So
Oh
people
my
were
god,
kind of so.
that's a cool
And when they
nickname.
brought in this drama class, it felt like I had an excuse to act like a goofball. We were basically given some like a choice of five monologues from films, and I chose one from, I think it was Harry Potter, and I had to be Snape at one point. And it felt ridiculous that I had to act like someone I wasn't, and I could do that. It was basically legalized schizophrenia. I could go on and act like a goofball if I wanted to, act like a maniac if I wanted to, and um, I kind of developed this attitude of if you can make someone smile or laugh or do anything like that, even if it's one person, you won. Like you made their day better. You gave them the catharsis. Um, I realized from there was a great satisfaction in that. It To this day, I'm yet to find anything that matches that level of excitement.
That's like it sounded like one of the prominent actors who ended a little unfortunate on his side. But Robin Williams sounded just like that, but he kind of had a little different perspective. He was trying to make himself feel better from his dark sides by making other people happy and laugh, and so he was trying to make himself feel better for that. So it's kind of the same
Hmm.
from
Um.
from his perspective.
Well. I don't think I. I don't think I have quite the same darkness that he had. Well, Robin Williams, God rest his soul, he did have that desire. I did take up a few jobs before as there was a really funny part where there was a nearby theme park and they had a Santa's grotto, and they were basically looking for people to play elves and all that. So I had to dress up like an elf with a pointy hat and hey everyone, you want to go see Santa? He's right this way. And it was it was actually a lot of fun, and um it felt a bit ridiculous, but I just kept saying to myself every time going in, I just said, make one kid smile, just one. Just start from there, and if you can do that, good job. That's one more happy child this Christmas. Just focus on that. And that made me feel it definitely made me feel a lot more confident going in and a lot more fulfilled when I actually did accomplish that.
Yeah, putting your ego aside, think of someone else and staying focused, like focusing on the goal. What's your goal? Make people happy.
That's it. Um, I suppose it's a bit easier if you set it. If I'm not encouraging people to take safe dreams, but sometimes it can help to um, make something so remarkably low you can't possibly fail, and then build that up uh, bit by bit. Such as like I said, just make one person smile, just one. Like if everyone else is grumpy that you meet today, but you make one kid smile, you win. You win. You did a good job.
And that's actually true. I hear that a lot. Baby steps. Take baby steps. Start small and build. Do accomplish. You set that goal. Accomplish the goal, and the next one, set maybe the bar a little higher. And each time you accomplish, set it higher and higher.
Definitely. Um, it's something I've applied ever since that job. I've applied it to a few more areas in my life, and it's felt a lot better. Um, a lot of things. I'm definitely not biting off more than I can chew in as many areas as I used to. Again, still not perfect. It happens time to time, so that's just a part of the journey.
Coming from a perspective of just starting out, what do you think is harder? Getting started with your dream job, or keeping it going, keeping up with it?
Oh, I recited this so many times in my head and going back and forth. For me personally, I found keeping up a little trickier. Um, for me, I guess it's because for me, getting started can be anywhere. It could be as simple as just signing up to an extras agency or something small like that. When it comes to keeping up, um, sometimes go through a process where yes, I'm having fun with this. I can do like 3 auditions a day. This is wonderful. And and then the work will come to you, and it'll kind of pile up, and you realize, oh, um, okay, this is for real. So for me, trying to find the fun and trying to constantly uh, come up with a reason as to why you started this in the first place, that can be a little tricky. So sometimes you have to find a mantra. Sometimes you need a new routine. Um, a lot of things, and even you need to change it up a bit. You need to find a new way to make it fun each time. So in that regard, I find keeping up a bit more of a hurdle than actually starting out.
What is a big achievement you've had in your life?
A big achievement. There was
Or a favorite? Or
there is one I have in mind. For my final year of college, I had, well, funny, I actually had two thesis projects technically, and one of them was a performance that in a group of I think it was about 17 of us, we had to write produce and star in our own performance, which is about like an hour long one act. Um, Personally, I was very proud of how it turned out. I thought it was. I don't think it's gonna show up on Broadway anytime soon, but I was really happy that we got together and 6 months in, I thought, holy cow, we made this out of nothing. This is amazing. And from what I've heard, it's the plays are usually a mess in this course, but I was really happy with how it turned out.
And I might have missed what you said, but apologies if you did say it. But was this that 24-hour play
Oh,
that I was seeing you post about?
that was actually something else, but that was definitely a fun experience as well. Would you like me to talk about that now?
Yeah, I'd like to hear like how some of the top, like maybe a top, what was going through your head, emotions. As I know, at times there was fatigue setting in because 24 hours. Hey, that's I've done like I going to a doctor or something. They had me do this thing where I had to stay up for 24 hours straight.
Oh
So
gosh.
I can only imagine. Now you're not only doing that, but you're in a play that's 24 hours long.
I think especially the fact that I pride myself on being a morning person and an early riser and, having my strict bedtime. So when something comes along that says, you're going to stay up for a whole day, oh gosh, it's such a drastic shift. Um, it was the first time I attempted partaking in a project um, of that time length. I did audition for it, but sadly I didn't. I didn't get any of the parts. But they welcomed me and said, "Hey, come on board. You can still help out however you can." Um, so the play we had was Little Shop of Horrors, and it was the a lot of what I did was pretty much prost ups and setting up things in the background. So I was there making the Audrey 2 costume, things like that. It was interesting to see us all trying to put together things in that amount of time, and how much I was willing to exert myself to make this thing happen. Because as I said before, I hadn't I hadn't quite accustomed myself to being vertical for 24 hours. It was quite the experience. Just living off of 3 hours of sleep in total. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting time.
So that's really interesting. You mentioned that you auditioned during that, and you unfortunately didn't get that a role. But it's am I understanding this correctly? It's like it's the auditions and everything that's part of the play all in 24-hour time span. Everything putting it together happens at that time.
That's right. The auditions happen, but it's after and they cast it within that. They cast it beforehand, but I think it's at a certain time. It was about 7 p.m. 7 p.m. 24 hours before the actual show time. That's when everything starts. That's when the cast gets the scripts and they have to start reading it. That's when the um, that's when the choreographers are teaching them what to do. That's when the musicians are coming in and practicing. It all happens in a day, and the result can be. The result was it was amusingly clunky. It had a bit of a charm to it whenever a mistake was made, because of course everyone was sleepy. It, so from that regard, it was a lot of fun.
It's sounding so much like what, like, over here in the States, we in film on screen, we have these 48-hour film contests. Yeah, have you
Really?
ever heard of these?
I've heard of 1 week short film contests, but
Like
48 hours?
shooting like a short film. I can't imagine like any like long feature film, but and like shooting a short film in a weekend, a
Oh
whole,
my gosh.
from writing to finishing the last cut in post,
Whew,
in
I
all
guess
48 hours.
I
And
guess we had the we kind of had an upper hand because we were taking it from another play, but even then, gosh, that 48 hours, really?
so like that, when was it, Friday or Saturday? On Saturday my day started at, so I it was almost kind of a 24-hour deal. On that Saturday we started shooting. We shot the last scene of this film at 7 o'clock in the morning. We moved locations after that one scene, and we stayed in the other part, which made it easier to do afterwards. But we the shooting day went from 7 a.m. and we wrapped shooting at 1 a.m. So it was almost 24 hours in a shoot day. And then the rest was finishing up editing. Now if you can edit as you go, which the team I was a part of did, it made it that much easier too.
Okay. That oh my gosh. I've been on I know I've only been on film sets as like an extra or things like that, but even then you can still get a grasp of how much work goes into these films because it's like planning a wedding. Just one day of shooting is that elaborate, and the idea of doing that in 2 days, just oh my gosh, it's giving me a headache.
And I yeah, it gives a lot of people headaches, I know. But I came to this thinking that you do a 40-hour film, or what sounds like that 24-hour play for acting, then, and if you love that, then you should keep doing this, because it gets intense and all that. You have to figure stuff out just right there. Go with the flow. If something happens, figure a way around it so you can keep going. But if you love this, and you can say you come out of that loving this, then you're in the right place.
Absolutely, that's it. It's a it is an attitude I try to bring to whatever I do, whether it's picking weeds or if it's painting walls or performing on stage. Try to bring try to bring 100% of how would I say it? Try to bring 100% of yourself into it, and that can mean looking a little ridiculous. I've been known to at my day job just start singing songs in public, and customers are walking by and they're like giggling because it's just so weird. But it it feels good. I mean, it looks funny, but I suppose it's just a little strange quirk I have, and I should probably be put in a straitjacket or something. But oh well,
People should actually feeling a little more like how you just explained right there. There's not enough people feeling that way.
it's sad but true. But
This
that's the world.
way should be the ideal way to live: free, fun loving, having fun, and just going through it, having fun, not worrying about jumping off into the work week, working for that weekend. Like you need, just go with it, have fun, enjoy it.
Find something in it to have fun. Like
Yeah, exactly.
I think that was a Mary Poppins that said that. It was like if in every job that's ever done, there is an element of fun. You find the fun and snap, the job's a game. That sort of thing. It's a
That's perfectly worded.
of all the mantras to pick for work, you chose Mary Poppins. You... Well, I suppose there is worse.
All right. After all that, you like, do you? Is there any rituals that you when you're going to do not just any job position, any ritual that you get up, start the day with, or before you start on a project, ritual, habit, or routine that you get into?
Hmm. With each I find that with each routine I make, there's a challenge that there's something that comes along to challenge it. Um I definitely I definitely try to exercise. That's one of the unexcusable things that I do. Whether that could be going for a walk, it could be trying to go for a run or a full workout. That's one of the main ones I try to get done straight away in the morning. Uh, is there? There's a few things I do. I do try to write. Sometimes it's usually stream of consciousness for about 10 minutes in the morning. When I started out, it could be as short as two or even one, and it's quite a good way to prime my mind for the day. Even though if I were to read back some of the stuff I write, it's just nonsense. There's nothing of a it's not a diary entry or anything. It can be if you want, but usually it's just random ramblings. But it makes me feel good. It makes me feel more aware, and um, sometimes I even feel more focused after doing that. So that's a useful thing I've picked up.
And even like journaling, or maybe not going as far as much, like just getting it out, it's clearing your head for the new day. Or I think a lot of people like to do it at the end of the night when they're wrapping the day up and reflecting.
I I actually do both. I do have two separate two separate books, one for the day and well, one for the morning and one for the evening. The evening one is usually my recollection for the day, but the morning one is just it could be absolutely anything. It's whatever I want to write in the morning, and I allow myself to be a bit playful with it.
In life, who is an inspiration for you?
I do actually have one. There's I don't know if he's well known in the US, but here in Ireland he's quite an icon. It's a man named Marty Whelan. He's a radio host on on this radio station that plays classical music. He's actually um, quite closely related to one of our families. It's there's a kid. So what was it? Let me just make sure I'm phrasing this correctly. So he's basically friends with my aunt's family on my mother's side, and there was um there was an article, there was an interview with him recently in a magazine, and I read that I haven't met the man in person, but I probably will someday, given that he knows my aunt and they tend to meet up often. But he even though he's like 63 years old, he talks about how he just can't imagine doing anything else with his life. He loves classical music. He loves being a radio host. The studio he's at, he knows everyone there. He can remember people from 20 years ago. He just you just look at him and you know that he's doing what he was put on this planet to do, and that's something I really love seeing.
Do you see yourself following in his like footsteps, like doing what he does, or are you? Is it a little different for you?
I don't see myself doing his exact career. I definitely want to. I definitely want to have that same the same feelings towards what I do as he does, because I love that he's saying he doesn't want to retire. He's just found that his center, and he holds on to it, and he gets the most out of it, and you can just tell he's a wonderful person. I've From what I've heard from my aunt and even my mother who's met him, he's a wonderful person, great to talk to, and he's so unapologetically himself that you just know that he's doing what he was here to do.
Yep, I know someone being a sports fan over here following baseball, and my team, my favorite local team, they had a announcer. He kind of he passed away a couple years ago. Unfortunately, I think it was before my team won the World Series, the Astros. Milo Hamilton. He was radio broadcaster for the team, and he did it up until pretty much he retired. I think he did retire, and then 6 months later he passed away. But he pretty much did his. He was a he called games on the radio his entire life.
Goodness. So he was doing, did he enjoy doing it?
Oh yeah, you can tell every time he came in, he had his catchphrase and everything. You can tell like this was what he meant. He was put on this planet to do. Then he retired, and then now he's enjoying the games from up above.
That's that's beautiful. That's wonderful. Um,
But I think
Milo Hamilton. I'll have to Google search that man. He sounds interesting.
that's a true sense. And you said it like if he's happy that he doesn't the fact that he doesn't want to retire, that is a sense of I'm happy. I don't want to be doing anything else. I'm gonna be doing this till the day I die, and
Mm,
that's a true sense of what you're doing makes you happy.
absolutely, that's it. Milo Hamilton, you said.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
So I've got a few things left, and then we can wrap up. I don't like to take any more than an hour of my guest time usually, but we certainly I'd love to have everyone on multiple times for sure. You should have you on again one day too.
Hmm.
You when you get your career going and see how you're progressing and but you watch movies or films or plays even like what tell me about the last film or play that you saw, like you sat down to go watch a play or a film.
Okay. The it's a bit cliche, but the very last film that I've seen as of this minute was Endgame. Was the That was the last one I saw, and I suppose it's it's kind of interesting because I find a lot of things have ended for me this month. In fact, it's the month where I've come out of college, and it kind of feels like that sign of the times for me. I was in that mindset when watching it.
I've been actually experiencing a little of that myself, like things I where things just it not ending per se, but things coming to like in a way of closure, giving you closure.
That's it. Um, they're it's not a they're not a I wouldn't say that they're tragic ends. It's not they're not ends to be sad of. It's a like you said closure. It's the idea that um this is just another part of the journey. You stopped by here and now you're moving on to the next uh gas station. Okay, that metaphor was going it was going somewhere good. I can guarantee. But yeah, it's this is just the next step. It's a new door opening.
New doors opening. I like it. So, I already want to get to my like final bonus questions here.
Okay.
I kind of use that, and it's transitioning into those.
Note to self, keep answers shorter.
Oh no, it's good. It's been really fun talking to you.
Well, thank you. You too, Thomas.
What what do you consider your bread and butter of a skill of yourself? Like what a strength that you see you have?
My bread and butter skill. Oh boy. There's ooh, that's really tough. That is really tough. My goodness.
What do you
That's
like doing the most? What do you succeed at the most in doing?
all right. I find that I'm very good at um throw I find that I'm very good at sort of taking being on the front line, as I like to say, taking up the role that few people are comfortable of doing. Over the summer, I worked in a it was a theme park, and it's kind of a chaotic. It's very chaotic in the summer because you have slews of people trying to get on roller coasters, and there's a lot of situations that will require crowd control and being able to let everyone know what's going on, and sometimes you have to project and keep up all that energy. And I felt that was a strength I possessed. Sometimes I'd actually have to climb up onto like a soapbox or something and announce to everyone why the queue is delayed or things like that. Making sure that uh, people in there don't think that we're just messing about. That was I suppose that's one thing that I'm very good at. I often try to in uh, it's basically being on the front line and doing the one thing that seemingly no one else in the room will do until someone else goes first. How would I put that into? I don't know if there's a word for it. It's I don't know if that I don't know if that answered your question. It was uh, that's basically what came out of me.
I don't know where, but as you're giving answer to that, I just came up with a really good bonus, and I'll ask that when I get to them here in a in a minute. but I just came up with, I think, a really good question. If you ever heard, why I started my podcast, I followed after Lewis Howes and his School of Greatness podcast. And have you ever listened to his podcast?
I have. I think it was one of the first podcasts I got into. It's great. It's really great.
And I love his final questions at the end, and that's I kind of modeled at first. I was actually taking his one question, three truths, right from him. I love that question so much, but I think your last answer inspired a new question for me for that, and I'll get to that in a minute. But
Okay.
as kind of a tease, but just finishing up with maybe one or two more questions before that, and then I can get to those wrap up questions. So, two more questions. Let's just go with happiest moment.
Ooh, happiest moment in my life, I presume.
Happiest moment in your life as an actor, or in general, whatever comes to mind.
Oh, what was it? Happiest moment in my life. My goodness. Ah, there's so many to choose from. I suppose I'll make it easy on myself. I'll try and pick a recent one. There was one moment where I felt really happy after. I'm not really I wouldn't consider myself social in the same way that most people are. Because it's kind of the Irish stereotype that everyone loves, going out to bars and being bombastic and all that. To a certain degree, that's true. People my age and their 20 somethings, they definitely enjoy getting drink and getting together and doing these uh, elaborate party schemes. After the that play that we did, the this is the thesis play, not the 24-hour. A lot of the cast got together for a party, and I just decided, you know what? I'll give it a try. I'll give it this one try. I'll talk to these people who I've gotten to know over the past 6 months and enjoy myself. And the day after, I was actually quite thankful that one of them let me stay at their house, and the next morning I felt like I'd basically jumped over this hurdle, because I know for a lot of people the victory would be not to go to the party, but I'm kind of in reverse. I never had the chance to allow myself to have that much fun. And the next day I remember just waking up, uh, finding a takeaway napkin and writing a thank you note to my friend who let me stay there, and a thank you note to the host as well, and just writing that, leaving it down on the table, and then heading out the door and seeing if I could circumnavigate my way home, because I was in a new space and I had to figure that out myself. Um, it seemed it seemed so basic for a lot of the people who I would know, but for me, it just felt like victory that moment. I'm not sure how.
Victory when when you're getting that win, big or small, it can always be a happy moment.
I find in life, it's usually the very small wins that stick with me the most. It doesn't require a crowd cheering. Sometimes it's just learning to cook a new dish or something small. But that can definitely feel like the in my life, it's definitely felt more fulfilling in that degree.
And does a What funniest moment?
Funniest moment. Okay. Ah, it again. I'll see if I can pick a recent one. Uh, during that aforementioned thesis play that we had to put on and write ourselves, there was a moment where we had to improv some of the scenes to get. All right, improv. You already know something drastic is going to happen, but I was basically told to do something that I rarely ever do, and that's to flirt. And I'd been used to doing an improv, doing things that are acting like someone that I'm not. But this felt so weirdly alien that it was that when I was told to like, they just said, "All right, Brian, you're some macho dude. Uh, your co-star is going to be some girl who's basically really pretty. You have to go up and just be completely impolite and flirt with her." And the things I said just made no sense. They were, it was like, "Oh gosh, you're a specimen," and it was so weird. And they ended up getting into the script as the final script as throwaway, as well, not throwaway. They were just jokes, but it was a bit ridiculous that this little quirk that I had, that I didn't know how to do this activity, but it still served the play. I found that kind of amusing that my little mistake ended up benefiting the final project. There was a bit of humor in that, definitely.
I think that's what makes, especially when it comes to like the action of flirting, like especially if you don't know how, and then you're just saying just maybe some random things, and that's often what makes a comedy or like these variety shows that happen. They're looking for, what's it called, situational irony.
Situational. I think that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's but that was definitely something to that I look back on and chuckle. Just I suppose that's the best environment to screw up in.
Oh yeah, that you're expected to be a screw up, or just expected to screw up and
Mm.
get and one day and you hopefully get paid to do it.
Get paid to mess up. You can do that? Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Oh, the times we live in.
Let's see. So I'm three questions now, officially in the wrap up.
Okay.
Why do you think performing arts, film, play, I'm including play in this and too, because that it's a part of all this. Why do you think all of this telling stories is important in this world?
I find I find that these stories are essentially people's ways of keeping dignity, because we're definitely in a world where it's very easy to turn to be systemized. It's it's very hard for to find ways to get your original ideas out there, and the fact that these stories exist to show people what they think of the world, or what they believe, or that they can inspire other people to take action on this through, of all things, a story. That feels that feels like it. I can't imagine it being anything less than what it already is. It's just such an important thing in terms of helping people get a new perspective. I often find myself watching foreign films, or films that are from genres that I don't normally associate with, just because it gives me a new perspective. Because I don't know what it's like to be a um to be a Chinese film goer. I don't know what the films are like over there. So when I finally see them, I get realize, okay, so this is how they see the hero of the story. This is what they think is heroic, or this is what they think is evil. And that's really valuable and difficult to communicate in other parts of the world. So that's one of the I suppose that's one of the main reasons why I I find them such an important facet of the world we live in.
All right, finding connection to a play or a movie that you've seen, and maybe there's this one character that you can relate to or connect with and like have empathy on, like, to put yourself in the character's shoes. What is who is what which role or character do you see yourself in?
Ooh, I do have one in mind. It's not one that I'm wholly proud of, but it is a theater play. So forgive me if you're not familiar with this. It's from a play called Mr. Man by Enda Walsh. Um, are you familiar with it?
I don't think so. I'm looking it up.
All right, it's a one man play, but the main character in it is essentially this young man who's from Innisfree in Ireland, and for he recently lost his father, who owned a shop, and ever since that happened, his family has been kind of mistreated, and he's since felt like such an unusual figure or such an alienated figure from the environment he's in. I think the phrase he used to describe it was he feels like a kitten in a world full of dogs. He is by no means a nice character, though. He does some terrible things in the play, which I'm not going to give away. But I'm not a psychopath like he is. But I definitely I saw a production of it before, and I felt really connected to that level of pain. But like I said, I'm not. He goes a bit, how do I say it, Hannibal Lecter at certain moments in the play. So I'm not connecting on that level.
Talking about the Cillian Murphy and Mr. Man.
Okay. Well, it's a play, so
Or is
it
that
could
another
be,
different one? Enda Walsh,
yeah, Killian Murphy.
Killian.
He he could have been the performer. The performance I saw starred a performer named Emmett Farrell. So
Okay,
definitely, it's definitely subject to
but I know you're
particular.
talking about the actual character, not the actor himself, right?
Yeah. Uh, oh shoot, what was the character's name? I've completely forgotten. Oh dear.
Impression that I'm seeing Thomas.
That's it, Thomas. That was his name. Well, it's a one man play. It's the only character you see in the play, basically.
To be interesting. I never actually like seen a one not one act, but one man play before. It's pretty much like a monologue.
Mm. They're very hard to do. In terms of they can very easily become boring. So you really need to you really need to think of creative ways to keep the audience's attention. Because I don't know how you'd feel about watching someone just talk, recite a story that's happened in the past for an hour. It's it's easy to mess up, but the production I saw was fantastic. Anyway,
All right, and this last question, and before I get to it, I'm just tell you like when you're given, I'm forget. I'll have to go back. I forget now, but when you're given the one response, and when I told you this, when I said that, I came up with a really good question, kind of like the three truths.
mm,
And but before that, like where do you like to hang out on? You know, and for people like where do you like to hang out on the most, like on social media?
mm. I'm a I think I'm a bit old fashioned, so I'm not hugely active on social media. The one I use primarily is Facebook. So Brian Walsh, just on Facebook.com. Uh, that's that's pretty much the bare bones of it. Um, I do have an email set up for voiceovers, which is Brian Walsh VA at gmail.com. That's what I have. Aside from that, that seems to be the full extent of what I have in terms of social media. I'm a bit of a caveman. I think it's because I hear so much of people getting addicted to it that I seem to be a bit cautious going in. Do you ever feel that way?
I constantly feel like I'm always thinking. I'm always in my head. I'm more of a thinker and less of a talker. So I'm thinking about all scenarios way before things happen.
Right.
So you have anything like a reel or anything to show your work that I can publish on here?
Sadly, I do not. Naughty, I know. It's baby steps, I suppose.
All right. So this last question kind of helped inspired by today's guest Brian Walsh in Dublin, Ireland. Imagine, and I'm actually setting this up the same way as that three truths. Imagine it's
Okay.
imagine what your last days on Earth are gonna be like. Now, write up the perfect ending. How that happens.
Oh gosh. So it's my last day on Earth. How would I like it to go? Hmm. Holy cow, that is big. uh
This offers up for some creativity on part of the guest.
it does. I suppose my last day would I'd like to wake up. I suppose I'd like to get up super early that day, about 4 a.m., 4:30, to really get as much out of it. I'd like to what I'd like to do is I'd imagine myself like trying to cook a meal by myself for invite my friends and family over and get them all to sit at a table and talk to each other. It's sadly something that, due to a certain life happening or something, people getting priorities and people not being able to meet up as often as they can. So any way I could find to get them all together and put myself into it, like make. That's my dog. He's snoring really loud. He anyway, back on track. I'd like to find some way to really get my friends and family to meet together, in some events that only I could really produce. So making the food myself, putting myself into it, and that would be, I can imagine just ending that day happily because of that. Gosh, that was a big question.
And I need to set that up a little differently, being this is the first time I'm asking it, but I meant to say well in the future. This has happened for well in the future. I just want to just make that clear. Like I don't want to like it's well in the future. That's
all right.
But I had fun talking to you today, and hope get on in a couple months or a year or two or year when after you get the university past you and into life, get back on and see where you're going from there.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks. It's been fun, and until next time, I will talk to you later.
Take care.
All right, you too. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did enjoy it, please share this with your fellow filmmakers and friends and comment on why you liked it and what stood out to you. Be sure to check back here for all the latest episodes and to see who I talk with next. Give a shout out to Brian on Facebook and let him know you heard him on the show. Thank you for listening and subscribing to In the Film World, and hope you got some value from this episode. And remember to enjoy the journey, trust, and love the process.